ballots are due tomorrow at 11:59 p.m. Eastern. I mean, I know you had a vote last year. This is always a time that I develop a twitch in my eye because I have a vote as well, and I understand what a huge responsibility it is. So with that said, can you guys help me with my ballot? I need some help. Amin, are you voting again this year?
I'm not voting this year, so this year I get to have crazy picks and then say, "Oh, I can't believe y'all didn't go with this one or that one."
Right, exactly. Okay, let's start with this, the MVP. And Perk, we saw you finally threw in the towel, tweeting that Jokic has officially bagged the MVP trophy. I know that took a lot out of you. Amin, do you agree? And if so, how close do you see that race?
Well, I think Jokic checks three boxes, right? Individual excellence. We saw the stat line. We know his impact on winning on that franchise. And then availability. In the words of my good friend Marcellus Wiley, the best ability is availability. And this was a freak year where so many of the other would-be MVPs missed extended time. Jokic has played every single game. That means something. That should count for something. And I think, maybe I threw in the towel a lot earlier than Perk, but yeah, he's the MVP.
I don't think Marcellus was the one who came up with that quote, but I'll just leave it there. Who's your number two? I know you threw out a bunch of names: Chris Paul, Joel, Perk. Who's your number two right now? If Jokic is, finally your MVP frontrunner.
You know what? It was CP3, but to be honest, what Julius Randle is doing right now for the New York Knicks,
I was not expecting that.
Yes, Julius Randle has to be number two. I mean, Cass, he's averaging 24 points a night, 10 rebounds, 6 assists. It's only a handful of guys in NBA history that has done that. And then on top of that, the culture, he's winning, he's impacting winning. The Knicks are in the playoffs because of Julius Randle, right? I get it. Everyone's talking about the most improved, but he's definitely should be up there as far as the front runner as MVP.
I mean, I was not expecting that, Perk. I mean, I'm actually in between. I don't know if I'm going to put him in my top 5. I think I do want to put him in my top 5, but right now I have Joel Embiid as my number 2, and I know people are going to say he missed 20 games, but in watching him up close, I mean, I still think he could be the best player in these NBA playoffs. So, we'll see. I mean, or in these NBA finals if they get there and they're the top seed. There's just so many definitions to what the MVP can be. But let's move on to the Defensive Player of the Year. I think MVP was mostly easy as far as who's the front runner. I think this one's a little bit more of a toss-up. I mean, who's your Defensive Player of the Year?
I'm going with Ben Simmons. I respect his ability to guard anybody, anywhere on the floor. I think when you look at the way the NBA game is changing, that's what's the most important thing as a defensive player, is your ability to be a defender anywhere on the floor. That's why we love Draymond Green. That's why we love Bam Adebayo, who should have a lot of interest in this number 1 position. But Ben, to me, is my Defensive Player of the Year.
What about you, Perk?
You know what? I'm rolling with Ben, but I'm telling you right now that Nerlens Noel should be in that conversation.
What is this?
Listen. What's going on? No, listen. Seriously. Look, I'm not a guy that goes and dig for stats and all these analytics and things to that nature. But when you go and look at his numbers and you compare them to Rudy Gobert's, right, and to the best of them, he's up there. He's up there in every category, top 5. He's anchoring that defense tremendously right now for the New York Knicks. And I get it, right? He's not a household name, all right? And he's not, a guy that stands out and everyone talks about. But when you go and look at his numbers and his impact on that New York Knicks team, and this is why they are so good defensively, because they have a guy like him who anchors the defense. He's also a guy that could switch 1 through 5. He just hasn't been talked about enough.
If Miles Turner was watching this show right now, he would be throwing his hands up because you're saying Nerlens Noel and Miles Turner, you saw he tweeted out, how many years in a row are we going to do this? Because he's not. I mean, like he's been. I got a whole big set of Legos. As one of these teams send out like campaign kind of gifts to promote candidacies for their players, and I got a big case of blocks because he leads the NBA with 3.4 blocks per game. As far as my defensive player of the year, I like the Ben Simmons pick, and the fact that he basically it's complicated from a stats point. If you're not watching the games and you're just looking at stats, you wouldn't be putting Ben Simmons on your list. But if you're watching the game, you're like, oh, that guy's the defensive player of the year. I also want to give credit to Draymond Green. He leads the NBA in field goal percentage allowed at the rim among players to defend 200 shots. I know that's a mouthful there, but it's hard to sum up what he does as well if you're watching the game. So I'm still undecided here. Other honorable mentions: Jimmy Butler leads the NBA in steals, and of course Rudy Gobert, who a lot of people have as their favorite. So we'll see.
And Bam.
I want to.
And Bam.
Oh, and Bam. Well, yeah. So there's, like I said, it's not as easy of a category as say the top of the MVP. I want to move on to Rookie of the Year. Perk, we saw you tweet out that you think LaMelo and Anthony Edwards should be co-MVPs. Obviously, it has to be voted that way. But what's your take behind this tweet?
Because I mean, like, you could go, like, I can't just say one is the clear-cut winner. Like, both of them has impacted the game, and both of them has had a tremendous year. I know LaMelo Ball. When you think about LaMelo Ball before the injury, he was leading the way. All of a sudden, he got hurt, and then Anthony Edwards took off. Right? Just think about this. The coach got fired from Minnesota because he wasn't playing Anthony Edwards. He was bringing the man off the bench and wasn't giving him the keys to the car. And so when he finally started to get in that driver's seat, he started to show us, had a few 40-piece wing dinners and just taking off. So right now, LaMelo Ball is back. And although the Minnesota Timberwolves are at the bottom for us, wins and losses, he has been balling. So I really think they both deserve to win it. And that's why I said give it to them both. They should share it.
Well, I mean, we'll see how it all plays out with voting. But what do you feel about, the Rookie of the Year race? I mean,
Cassidy, it reminds me a lot of what happened a couple of years ago with Luka Doncic and Trae Young, where Trae Young had a second half of the season that was scintillating. He had a bunch of big games. He won games. And all these people in Atlanta said, see, they should at least be co-Rookie of the Year. And I said, that's true. He did have a great second half. But I got to give it to the guy who was great all year long. Same thing with LaMelo Ball. Now, his case is a little different because of the injury that happened to him. But I look at LaMelo Ball, and he made this team competitive the moment he stepped on the floor. It wasn't even up to a coach to figure out whether he was ready or not. LaMelo was coming off the bench too, if you remember, to start the season. They were asking, when's he going to start? When's he going to start? They brought him along slowly, but when he came in the game, his impact was undeniable on this team in terms of making them winners. And, dare I said it, even though he wasn't the number one overall pick, he had a target on him, a bullseye on him. People were going at him too, expecting something of him. So I got to give it to him. He had more pressure on him, and he made his team a winner from the moment he stepped on the floor.
Yeah, and he ranks top 2 in, points per game, rebounds, assists, and steals among rookies. And to your point, I think a lot of people, what Anthony Edwards has done, basically just needing 56 games to reach 1,000 points has been impressive. But I think his Rookie of the Year campaign kind of got boosted when it was thought that LaMelo was going to be out for the rest of the season. But LaMelo has come back. The Hornets are very much in playoff seeding. So I don't know. I'm still torn. I got to take some time. This is one of the causes of the twitch in my eye. But we'll see. We'll see, Perk, if we'll have the 4th time in NBA history we'll have co-rookies of the year, because I think a lot of people are split here.
Well, one thing to add, though, right? Like, the Timberwolves hadn't been healthy. Karl Anthony Towns hadn't been there. Malik Beasley had been suspended. D'Angelo Russell been in and out of the lineup. And when you watch the games, it's a difference, right? LaMelo Ball plays the point guard, so he has the ball in his hands a lot of the time. Anthony Edwards, right? He's playing with Karl Anthony Towns, D'Angelo Russell, and even Ricky Rubio, who dominates the ball. And sometimes they tend to just phase him out. They tend to, Karl Anthony Towns wants to push the ball. He plays on the perimeter more than he should and should be in the paint, right? D'Angelo Russell comes down in clutch moments when Anthony Edwards has had it going and take these ill-advised shots. And I think that's held against him from what he's really doing for us, what he's doing as a rookie, putting up monster numbers. But that's neither here nor there. I just feel like they should share it.
Yeah, I mean, I think whichever way you're leaning, Ant or LaMelo, I think most people would be fine if they were rookie of the years. I want to finish up with coach of the year, because I feel like coach of the year takes on many definitions, just like MVP. Amin, who's your pick for this award?
This one's easy for me, and this is no disrespect, Quinn Snyder, Monty Williams, Doc Rivers. There's some great coaching jobs this year, but to me, Steve Nash deserved this. This is a guy who was scrutinized when he came in. People were asking whether it was privilege that got him this job. Pointing out he'd never been a head coach anywhere before. He gets these two big personalities. They had a third personality in there, and then everyone gets hurt for most of the year. And he not only kept his team competitive, he's kept them in the running for a top 2 seed all the way to the last day of the year. Steve Nash, the odds that were against him and what he's been able to accomplish with this roster, I think he's definitely my coach of the year.
When you were the whole lead up, I was waiting for you to say Tibbs. But I guess now that your argument makes sense, I get it. Perk, your face, explain.
No, Cassidy, that argument makes no sense at all. Okay, you have Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, and James Harden, and then you add Blake Griffin. You have one of the best supporting casts. You're supposed to win. See, this is my thing is when you talk about offense, it's one thing, but when you talk about coaching to me is when your team locks in defensively, right? And you can see because they buy into what you believe. Offensively, the game is 85% pick and rolls or isolation balls, which are superstars, right? But if your team is locked in on the defensive end, that means that they're bought into coaching. So when you look at a guy like Quinn Snyder, the Utah Jazz, top 5 in the league defensively. Monty Williams, the Phoenix Suns, top 5 in the league defensively. But I'm going with Tom Thibodeau. Tom Thibodeau, you talk about a guy that took a lot of heat, right? He was one of them. He took a lot of heat when people were saying, oh, he's too old. He's going to run them into the ground. He don't know. He's been out the game. This is not the right fit. Tom Thibodeau looked himself in the mirror and said, you know what? I have to adjust to this new era of players. I'm still going to be this defensive-minded coach, but offensively, I'm going to let them play freely. And that's what he has done. He has he has set the culture defensively, and he's letting these guys do what they do offensively. The New York Knicks are so much better right now. It's so much better for basketball. Julius Randle is playing his best basketball under Tom Thibodeau. I think Tom Thibodeau deserves this award.
Yeah, I feel, yes, I think I'm probably going to go with Tibbs, but a little part of me, I feel like Doc Rivers is getting no respect in this whole conversation of Coach of the Year. The Sixers have essentially been top seed in the East the entire season, and that's it with Joel in and out of the lineup. I'm going to just leave it there. I'm probably going to go with Tibbs. I mean, I'm so thankful that you came on the show for our final show of the regular season. It was so great to be reunited with you again. Again, check them out on the Cinephobe podcast. And is there anything else you're going to you want to share about what you're going to be working on next, or you want to hold that?
We'll hold it, but let's just say some familiar faces from the ESPN world who you might have seen before, and maybe a little tropical locale. We'll throw it like that. How about that?
Well, we can't wait to see you. Good luck to you, and we miss you, and we just are so happy that you joined us. Bye, Amin.
Amin, you know what it is.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.